Hello and welcome to Scrapping on the Fly. This is Kristen and it is day 27 of 30 days of sketches with Christy's Beautiful Life, and she has combined with Scraptember, and they give the prompt, which is a long title, and Christy gives the sketch. So this is what we have today. It is 3 pictures. It says on here 2.5 by 3.5. Obviously a long title, which works well for our prompt. A couple of embellishment clusters, some journaling space, and it looks like 2 large triangles that have some inking borders or possibly some stitching. And the pictures that I decided that I would work with are these 3. So I'm actually going to stay in the same format. It's pictures of my son and my nephew throwing a football around in the backyard at my sister's. And so I felt like these could be cut down to where they would fit this prompt, or not just the prompt, but fit the sketch. So, and I thought about some long titles, and my son and nephew are very tied down to their electronics. So I figured I would go along the lines of something to do with, you know, them playing a game or doing something outside and not using an electronic. So that is my plan for these lovely pictures. And I decided that I wanted to use double-sided paper that I could either cut directly down and then flip, or at least something in a set so that it would blend well together. I am not normally a kit or set or all one paper pad kind of person. I've done a lot more of that lately, but I decided that I purchased this from Tuesday Morning maybe 3 months ago, or maybe more than that. And I really love this paper, and I have used a line of it as a border on a page. I cannot even tell you what page it was. I must have liked it a whole lot though, because I was willing to use this paper. This is Project Life. It is a 12 by 12 set that came with, I think, 12 different double-sided pages, and it is the Jade edition. So there's a lot of greens and stuff in here. So I thought I would go through here and pick out either one page that I like both sides, that I could, oh, that's so blinding, that I could cut and flip, or 2 that coordinated well together. So I'm gonna go through these and figure that out. And I love all this text and writing. Like, this has got cursive writing on it. It's just got a lot of neat little things on there. Here and now, little moments, things like that. And of course, I obviously love this one. And there's another one that's got some words on it too. And I think they're so versatile. I mean, unless what the words say on there are not fitting of the pictures you're using, I feel like anything with text on it is really versatile. Oh, here's the other one. It's red. And I have used an entire sheet of this one. So I went through and looked through all of these, and we'll pick out a couple of patterns for that, and decided, since they are playing football, I'm going to bring in some of these football stickers. Not sure which ones, and I have plenty more football stickers. This is a football family. My daughter played football, flag football, for a few years, and my husband is absolute football fan. So I have lots of football stickers, but I pulled the ones that I thought I could use just as embellishments, part of the embellishment clusters, or just a little extra add-on. So not a whole lot, just because I don't want it to be super, super themey, but I do like the idea of adding one of these, and these are Stickipotimus, and they're kind of not thick, but they're firm. I don't know how to say it. They're stiff. They're not like a thin, flexible sticker like these, you know, are thin, and this is more of a, well, anyway, y'all don't care. And then I picked these out to possibly use for my alphas. I have quite a few of these, and they're blue and green, and I know that that's a lot of the colors in this set of papers. So I thought that this would definitely work for some of the smaller parts of the title, because it looks like there's some little words and then bigger words, you know, to fill the title up. And then I have these two. This is and I don't know if you can even see that in the camera. This is a pre-cut alpha set. I have about a 3-inch stack of these in different colors, and some with patterns and fonts, and some are bigger. So I thought that these would be good for the bigger portion of the title. And then, because I don't really want to do floral, not because it's a boy page, not because it's football, just because I don't do a lot of floral. I mean, yesterday or the day before I did a page that had some florals on it, and that's unusual. Thought I'd bring in the stars. I've got quite a few bigger ones, smaller ones in here that I can use. So I'm gonna bring those in. Oh, now I'm making a big mess with them. And then I also pulled this Tim Holtz chipboard out. Says today is full of possibilities. Thought I might try and use that. And then I also want to use this Tim Holtz Ideology Small Talk, and it's the snarky one, because my commentary about them playing something that's not electronic is kind of snarky. So, but there is the plan. I may actually go crazy and instead of border these rectangles, yeah, these are rectangles, guys. Wow. Instead of bordering these or fake stitching, I may actually pull out a needle and thread, which it's sitting here staring at me. Like, I bought this at the dollar store, thought it'd be perfect to have just in case I decided to do it. I've never stitched on a layout before, so I don't know. I'm going to go through this paper, and then we will see where we go from there. All right, so let's see how this goes. So the first thing I did was went through this Project Life Jade edition to pick the colors that I wanted to use. And there's lots of great colors. I didn't want to use a ton of green since the predominant amount of the picture is green from the grass and the trees. A little green to bring in that color, but not like the whole background. So I love this one that's got little speech bubbles, says smile, love, hello, click, cheese. And I looked at the different yellows that would go with it because that's the brightest color, and picked this grid. So I get all of my stuff out of the way and decide that I am going to go crazy and stitch, which, like I said, I've never done. I will not make you watch all that, but this is how I got started. I laid that down. I started with the grid paper because it had the little spaces, made it easier. And ta-da! That took me somewhere between 30 minutes to an hour. I'm not sure. I would at least listen to 3 different videos of today's sketch. Well, the 25th. And, oh no, the 26th. This is the 27th sketch. Shoo. Anyway, so I stitched around. I had pre-poked the holes with a paper puncher and laid down like a double layer of some cardstock. So now that I have all of that down and I attached it to a solid piece of white paper in the back, I am matting my 3 pictures. The larger one on the gray with polka dots, which is the back of the yellow grid paper. And then the 2 smaller ones on that green zigzaggy pattern, which is the back of the hello smile and stuff. You all don't need to see me cut all that out. I am so OCD about it, and my trimmer needs a new mat right now, so I sometimes trim it with that, and then I have to like fix it. So realize it's disappearing into this bright paper, so I don't like that. And I decide to mat it on black paper, just a thin mat, so that the papers do not overtake the pictures. And so I get those matted and put the tape down. I put a piece of tape in the middle, and now I'm just eyeball lining it up. And then I put it down and get out a ruler, which I've told you before I don't normally do much of, just to make sure that it is pretty close to in the middle, all together, 100% centered. So I tack that down, and it's just got a little piece in the middle, so I'll be able to tuck in the top and bottom if needed. And then I just want these to be tucked in just a little. There's a soccer ball in the bottom right corner of the picture I just tucked in, and I kind of want that visible too because they were kicking that around, and so they were not just throwing the football, but they were actually kicking that around, and they wanted to get out the bow and arrow, but not a good idea. So I get these laid down, and I'm trying to figure out exactly where I want to put my embellishment clusters. So on their picture, or on the sketch, it is over between the second and third picture. But I really kind of like the concept of this football, and I do want to add that, but I don't want it to be like just a bunch of footballs. So I cut some stars out in that yellow grid paper, as well as the green paper that I matted the pictures on, which is the back of one of these papers. And then I picked a dark blue. It's actually from Recollections, the ombre paper. And it's just predominantly the dark blue because I just wanted to pop a color on the top. And then I picked out a scrap paper of black, and it's like a galaxy black, like it's shiny, and I wanted to put that down on the bottom. So I cut out 4 stars altogether, 2 of each color for the top and 2 of the other 2 colors for the bottom. And that way I'm bringing that green in that's matting the picture, but not overdoing it. And I'm bringing the yellow to the top and the blue and black all around. So I get those tucked in, and I want that football to go in there, but just a part of it. So I figure if I put those stars to where the football is covering the gap from the stars to the paper, it'll look like they're bigger. I should have measured before doing it, and I could have made the stars bigger and made even a couple more of them, but I end up loving the way this layout turns out. So I'm okay with that. So I get a little piece of double-sided tape in there and just start laying them down. So I don't want the yellow plaid on top of the yellow plaid, so I move it around and get it to where it's yellow, blue, or blue, yellow, however you want to look at that. And then I cut the football in half. Might be a travesty for my husband, so maybe I won't tell him. So I cut it in half because I'm going to use the bottom on the bottom. And it's not very sticky, but I have had these football stickers for a very long time. I believe I bought them in 2009 or 2012. We went to go see the Raiders play, and I think I bought a ton of football stickers for that. Plus, my daughter played flag football in 2009 through 2012. So I purchased a lot of football stuff in that time period. Not as much since then, so then I do the exact same thing at the bottom, except because the pictures at the top, the 2 on the side, help cover the end of the football on the right and left. The football is a little wider at the bottom, and so it peeks out on the right corner a little, so you can see that it's been cut. And of course I don't want that, so I'm going to have to come up with some kind of way to cover that doesn't look too obvious. So I get my stars down, and I know I'm going to go into my star stash to pull out some extras to oomph up the space because there are gaps in between the stars on the top and bottom. And while I don't mind some gaps, I don't want any big gaps. So I get this lined up so that you can see right there that the little point of the football is sticking out of the side of at the very end of that picture. And obviously I don't want that because then you can tell I've cut it in half. So I'm tucking the stars just so that you can't see the end of them. And one of them got jacked up on my Cricut. And so I'm glad that that corner or that point of the star was able to be tucked in. And then I get all that down, double side tape those footballs because like I said, they are not very sticky anymore. And then I dig into my stash of stars. I gathered these together when I was creating a Star Wars book from our trip to Disney this past summer. And I put all the stars together in a container because I knew that I was going to be using a lot of them. Just because it's Star Wars doesn't mean it has to be stars. I know that's what my husband said to me, but that's what I did. Stars are a good thing to do when you're like dealing with the galaxy. So I have lots of those. And these first two yellow stars I pull out that have the little orangey colored border, those are my 2 stars that are left over from my Disney stash. And that is all I had left of the stars, except for one more that I'm going to use on this layout as well. These 2 little yellow stars that I'm tucking in the top left corner of the embellishment and the bottom right corner of this of the embellishment are from a stencil I cut out for a previous 30 Days of Sketches. And I just kept these because there's no point in throwing away a perfectly good star. And I had made a die cut. So the last star that I add, I put up on foam, and it is a yellow star with a white border, and it is it's from the Disney collection that I got from, I believe, Sandy Lion. And I add that to that corner, so it covers the end of that football, gives a little dimension for the page because there's not going to be a whole lot of dimension on the page. Most everything lays pretty flat, except I will end up adding, spoiler alert, that Tim Holtz chipboard, which also adds a little dimension. So now I am just pulling the double-sided tape off the corners now that I'm done sticking things in underneath there. And I have forgotten to do this many, many times, and so I'm glad that I actually remembered. And so we are almost done with the actual layout. It's almost time for the extra long title, which is the prompt for today. And let me just say, this is probably the longest title I've made on a page, unless you include like a subtitles and stuff. So I definitely made it longer, and I will tell you now, will not be straight because I cannot, even with this grid, because it was kind of going to the side because of the way the layout is. So, but first I get out my Tim Holtz snarky comments, and I add two of them to the top of each of the pictures. So the first one I put down says, I plan my whole day around the possibility of a nap. And above that says, don't judge me. And then the other side above my son says, the fact that I have more clothes to sleep in than I do go out and says a lot about me as a person. And also says, I am fabulous. So I just thought that these kind of went along with the concept that these boys don't do much more than play on electronics. And there weren't snarky comments about not putting your phone down or something. I'd use those. But, kind of the gist of being lazy. Not saying that if you play on electronics you're lazy. I'm just saying that these boys can be kind of lazy. So, I love them though. Love them very much. So, I get those down. And there was a journaling space up on the top next to the embellishment. So I kind of split that up and put it on either side. So now I've started with my title down on the bottom right, which is actually where it's supposed to be. And I start with a light blue, which matches the blue in the speech bubbles up at the top. It says "what" with a question mark. And then after that, I found these circular bluish green ones that I liked, and I decided I would use those for quite a bit of them. So in the end, it's going to say, "What? A game with no controller?" But I left a lot of this in because I wanted you to see that I did not measure, so I screwed it up. And I start laying the word controller down, and I had forgotten that I only had one L, and I was going to use the number 1, which looks just like a lowercase l, for the word controller, but I forgot until after I put the first L down and went looking for the next one. And then I realized there's 2 L's and it's going to go too far, so I've got to pick them up and try and maneuver them over, well, some of my paper tears. And since it is a bright yellow, that vast white underneath is very obvious. So I am frustrated. However, it is not the end of the world. Things can be fixed. So I take all of these little circular letters off for the word controller, put them down on a little piece of plastic, and try and figure out how I want to fix this. So I'm trying to figure out what I'm doing. So I get a little piece of plastic. That's what it was. I want to take all the letters off, but I didn't want to put them back on the page. So I put them on a little piece of plastic that stickers used to be on so that I could keep the whole word together and kind of get an idea for how long it was going to be. And then I get out my sprays. What am I doing now? You all, I literally just did this. Okay, I'm getting out my spray. So I shook up the spray and I got out the Delusions Shimmer Spray in London Blue. And I tapped some down on a packaging. And I decided I am going to use that right there in that bottom right corner. And that is going to cover up the boo-boo. And because it looks silly to just put it in the bottom, I've decided that I will put some in the bottom right by the title, not everywhere, just in that bottom top corner. And then I decided to bring it straight up to that top part above the embellishments cluster as well. And I just use up the rest of whatever I have on my packaging, just kind of almost like a rainbow above the stars. So because I don't want it to look like it was an accident that I put that down there. But, you know, it is so whatever way I can to fix the boo-boo, and I love the way this looks. So I got that figured out, and then I realized that I need to put the start of the word controller all the way over on the star. So I was trying to nestle it in the star and then realized that it is a longer word, and because there's no layering these letters because they're puffy, I have to move the C and the beginning of the word all the way over, almost the beginning of that yellow star. And then I lay it all out. Now, like I said, I could have cut all of this out for you because it is super repetitive trying to put that down there. But I think that a lot of people, especially when I watch YouTube videos, I just think these people are amazing and they just know exactly what to do and how to do it. And they, so when you leave the mistakes in or the fix-its, A, you're helping somebody find a way to fix something. And B, you are showing that you are not perfect. So, and I am by far. Obviously, you can tell that by the way the title looks because it is a wonky. And I love Scrappy Adam because he always says he's going to embrace the wonk. And that is so me. That's probably why I love him so much, because that's exactly what I do. I just have to, go with it because I know it's not going to be straight. So I'm looking at the page, trying to decide what I think and if it needs anything else. And I am certainly determined to put this Today is Full of Possibilities down. I really love it. I mean, it definitely is fitting for this layout. So I decide that white really disappears into the page. and so I get Tim Holtz Distress Black Soot and my dauber and dauber around his little chipboard, which I think looks great. And I wasn't sure how I was going to do because I've never done that before, but it just adds a little darkness around the outside, just like if you were doing paper or a sticker. And I put that down just over the bottom of the picture. It's just in the grass, so it's not like it's covering up anything. And I love how it looks. So I put some double-sided tape on the back of it before I inked it. See, I've learned that as well. Put that stuff on there before you ink it, and then you don't get your hands as dirty trying to get the double-sided tape peeled off. And then I'm going to check it out, look over the sketch, and decide that I am thrilled. So I'm going to show you the close-ups, and that'll be it. I hope y'all have a great day and a wonderful week, and I hope you get a chance to do something you love with someone you love. Have the best day ever, and happy scrapping.